40 pairs of eyes locked onto the man in the faded canvas jacket. He stood in front of a $50 million Titan alloy vault door, holding the hand of a 6-year-old girl. Laughter echoed through the cavernous marble lobby of the Aegis Global building. It wasn't the warm kind. It was the sharp, jagged sound of elite professionals looking at a joke they didn't want to be a part of. Victor, the arrogant director of security and the architect of this very vault, crossed his arms. His tailored suit probably cost more than the man's truck. The kids' play area is across the street, buddy. Victor's voice dripped with fake sympathy. This isn't the place for a street corner locksmith to put on a comedy show. Silas didn't answer. He didn't even look at Victor. He just crouched down, his worn boots creaking, and gently smoothed his daughter's hair. Little Mia was clinging tightly to a small, wooden wind-up music box, her knuckles white. Before we see how this quiet father forced an entire room of arrogant millionaires into absolute silence, hit that subscribe button if you believe a father's love is the ultimate weapon. And if you're out there fighting every single day for the people you love, take 2 seconds right now and drop this exact quote in the comments. I refuse to break because my family is right behind me. Let the world know where you stand. Now, let's rewind 2 hours. The Aegis Tower lobby had been packed with the heavy hitters of the security world. We're talking 40 hand-picked experts, ex-military contractors, white-collar hackers, guys with briefcases full of military-grade decryption hardware. Aegis had thrown down a massive gauntlet, bypassed their new, supposedly impenetrable Titan vault, and name your price. Then, Silas walked in. He didn't have a Pelican case full of gear. He didn't have a tactical vest or an iPad showing 3D schematics. He just had Mia, holding his left hand, and a small canvas tool roll tucked under his right arm. The room's temperature seemed to drop. The class divide was instantly obvious. Men in sharp suits and tactical gear threw glances at him that ranged from mild disgust to outright offense. To them, this was the Super Bowl of security. To Silas, it was just a job that paid the exact amount he needed for Mia's next set of sensory therapy sessions. The lobby was loud, so loud. The overlapping chatter, the whir of high-end equipment, the echoing footsteps on marble. It was too much for Mia. She pressed her face into Silas's leg, her breathing getting shallow. Silas didn't panic. He knelt down, blocking her view of the crowded room with his broad shoulders. He took the little wooden music box from her hands, wound the key 3 times, and let the soft, mechanical lullaby play. Focus on the song, sweetie, he whispered, his voice a low, steady rumble. Just the song. Mia took a deep breath, her shoulders relaxing, as the familiar tune washed over her. Silas settled her into a quiet corner chair, with her sketchbook and some crayons. A massive guy built like a tank, a former mercenary who had brought a localized laser cutter, sauntered over. He looked down at Silas, then glanced at the little girl. You know, the merc smirked, they don't give out participation trophies here. You might want to pack it up before you embarrass yourself in front of your kid. Silas slowly stood up. He wasn't a tall man, but the way he planted his feet made him look like a mountain that couldn't be moved. He looked the merc dead in the eyes, with the deadpan calm of a man who had seen real monsters, and knew this guy wasn't one of them. I'll keep that in mind, Silas said quietly. No anger, no ego. The trials began. It was a massacre of egos. Team after team stepped up to the Titan door. It was a massive, seamless slab of dark metal, 2 meters thick, boasting a zero-tolerance thermal lock and anti-drill plating. The hacker crews plugged in. Their screens flashed red. Access denied. The tactical guys brought out the heavy thermal drills. The drill bits snapped, sparking violently against the alloy, without leaving a scratch. Victor stood on the mezzanine balcony, a smug grin plastered across his face. He was practically vibrating with arrogance, declaring his masterpiece completely untouchable. Down on the floor, Silas wasn't looking at the door. He wasn't watching the failed attempts. He stood perfectly still. His eyes closed. He was listening. He tracked the hum of the building's central HVAC system. He felt the micro vibrations in the floorboards. Every time the nearby subway train passed underground, he was mapping the environment. When you're backed into a corner, and the whole world is betting against you, you don't fight their way. You find your own way. If you're someone who pushes forward no matter what, drop it in the comments again. I refuse to break, because my family is right behind me. Finally, the room fell silent. Every expert had taken their shot. Every expert had failed. The air smelled like burnt metal and bruised pride. All right. Looks like we're done here, Victor announced from above, checking his Rolex. Not yet, a calm voice echoed. The crowd parted. Silas walked toward the door. He didn't pull out a drill. He didn't open a laptop. He walked over to Mia, whispered something with a smile, and borrowed her wooden music box. The room erupted in scoffs and muffled laughter. The mercenary shook his head. Victor actually chuckled, leaning over the railing. What's the plan, Dad? Gonna sing it to sleep? Victor mocked. Silas ignored him. He stepped up to the massive, cold face of the Titan door. He pressed the wooden base of the music box, flat against the metal, and he wound the key. The tinny, mechanical melody tinkled against the heavy silence of the lobby. Silas wasn't putting on a show. He was using the acoustics. The solid Titan alloy would bounce the sound back at a specific frequency. But a hollow chamber, a mechanical housing, or a thermal stress point, that would change the pitch. He moved the little wooden box an inch to the left, then another inch. Suddenly, the resonance of the music box shifted. It became dull, flat. He had found the thermal blind spot, caused by uneven metal expansion. Silas handed the music box back to Mia. With a gentle wink, he reached into his canvas roll and pulled out a heavy steel wrench, not to smash the lock. He tapped the surface exactly where the sound had died, feeling the vibration travel up his arm. Then, he inserted a slender, custom-milled tension tool into a microscopic seam nobody else had even noticed. 3 precise turns. Click. It wasn't a loud sound, but in that dead silent room, it echoed like a gunshot. The massive, 4-ton Titan door hissed, disengaging its vacuum seal. It slowly swung open. Time, 39 seconds. 40 jaws hit the floor. The mercenary with the laser cutter actually dropped his goggles. Victor's smug smile vanished, replaced by the pale, clammy look of a man who just watched his career disintegrate. Up on the balcony, the CEO of Aegis Global stood up from her chair, her eyes wide. The crowd surged forward, ready to swarm the vault and figure out what just happened. Silas held up a single hand. "Stay back," he commanded. The raw authority in his voice stopped 40 hardened professionals dead in their tracks. He didn't celebrate. He didn't look up at Victor to gloat. He stepped inside the vault, his eyes scanning the pristine interior. He walked straight to the primary diamond lockbox, reached underneath it, and ripped away a piece of false paneling. He pulled out a small, blinking black box with a thick antenna. "A localized signal jammer," Silas said, holding it up for the room to see, wired directly into the vault's internal camera feed. He finally turned his gaze up to the balcony, locking eyes with Victor. "This door was designed perfectly," Silas said, his voice carrying effortlessly. "It was designed so that absolutely no one could get in, except the guy who installed a back door to blind the cameras so he could clean it out during a chaotic public trial." The silence in the room shifted from shock to something entirely different, predatory. Every security expert in the room suddenly realized they were supposed to be the fall guys. Victor took a step back, stammering. But Aegis internal security was already moving toward him. His own hubris had just put him in handcuffs. If you know that real skill doesn't need to shout, and that the truth always comes to light, head to the comments, type the words, "I refuse to break, because my family is right behind me." 10 minutes later, the lobby was crawling with authorities. The CEO of Aegis, A sharp woman in a tailored suit walked straight up to Silas. She looked at the canvas tool roll, then at the little girl holding the music box. "I'm firing my entire security division," she said bluntly. "I want you to rebuild it. The starting salary is $2 million a year, plus stock options." It was the kind of offer that changes a life. The kind of money that makes people forget who they are. Silas looked at her. Then he looked down at Mia, who was quietly drawing a picture of a very large door. "I appreciate the offer, ma'am," Silas said, packing up his tools. "But I'm not looking for a career. My contract was for a flat fee of $5,000 to bypass the lock. I'll take the check, and we'll be on our way." The CEO was stunned. "Why?" she asked. "Because my daughter needs me at home," Silas replied simply. "Not in an office." He picked up Mia, balancing her easily on his hip. "You done, Dad?" she asked, resting her head on his shoulder. "All done, sweetie," he smiled. "Let's go get some ice cream." "With sprinkles?" "Extra sprinkles." Silas walked out of the Aegis building, leaving a room full of millionaires completely speechless. He didn't need their validation. He had everything he needed, right there in his arms. A real man doesn't need to wear a suit or put others down to prove his worth. He stays quiet, does what needs to be done, and puts his family above every temptation. Before you go, if this story hit home for you, leave our community motto in the comments one last time. I refuse to break, because my family is right behind me. And make sure to hit that subscribe button, so you never miss another story from Dad Life Stories. Keep fighting the good fight.